Hi, I'm David Buckland and welcome to this week's Video Insight. In the September 2023 quarter, virtually all the benchmarks for our business partners products recorded a negative return. Examples included the ASX Small Accumulation Ordinaries Index down 1.94%, the ASX 300 Accumulation Index down 0.84%, and the MSCI World Accumulation Index in Australian dollars down 0.37%. This was largely driven by the jump in yield for US 10-year Treasury bonds from 3.84% to 4.57%. In recent days, they have in fact breached 4.8%. This sell-off coincided with the thesis that interest rates will be higher for longer, as a victory against inflationary expectations may have been called prematurely. In that context, it was pleasing to see two of our business partners' products recording very pleasing positive returns over the September 2023 quarter. The Montgomery Small Companies Fund recorded an excellent return of 8.19% for outperformance against its benchmark of over 10%. And the Aura High Yield SME Fund, available for wholesale investors only, was up again solidly by 2.42%, with an average monthly distribution of 0.8%. Volatility could continue in the near term. The recent removal of the Speaker of the US House of Representatives, Kevin McCarthy, is unprecedented. The US government is currently open only until mid-November and is not a good omen. The US has not produced a budget surplus in over 2 decades, and negotiations, particularly with the hardline Republicans, will be delicate. The US budget deficit to GDP ratio appears to be heading up from 6%, while the US federal debt to GDP ratio looks set to beat its 1946 record, exploding through 100% and possibly 120% in the foreseeable future. I wonder if investors will demand a greater premium relative to inflationary expectations to buy US Treasury bonds. In a recent blog, I pointed out that in the period 1980 to 2001, for example, the average risk premium relative to inflationary expectations was 4.35%. In that 20-odd year period, average 10-year Treasury bonds were yielding 8.35% and the CPI reading averaged 3.9%. For the 2009 to 2021 period, the US Federal Reserve and many other central banks kept their official cash rates at virtually nil, and this has now proved to be far too accommodative. How are people surviving higher cost of living pressures with elevated costs of energy, fuel, food, interest expenses, rent, tolls, travel and healthcare? Any thesis that says inflationary expectations have not necessarily been beaten could see the risk premium required for government bonds jump further. And this could see additional pressure on the valuations of various assets. That's all I have time for this week. I hope you found it somewhat educational, and please continue to follow us on Facebook and Twitter.